essentially delegates to the conventions for the summer. We are joined by 4 other states, Florida, Kansas, Ohio, and West Virginia today in the selection process for the presidency. Now, as everybody here knows, there's a long road to November, but this is a critical battleground state, and so we want to make sure folks understand what's happening. Today, the polls opened at 6 o'clock in the morning, and they will close promptly at 7 p.m. We want all voters to know that if you're going to be voting today at your polling place anywhere in the state of Arizona, you need to be in line by 7 p.m. If you are not in line by 7 p.m., it will be too late. If you still have your mail-in ballot at home, you can bring it into any polling location or vote center in the state of Arizona and turn that in. It will be processed in due course. And as of right now, we have early mail-in ballots that have been processed across the state at almost 919,000 ballots that are ready to be or have been tabulated. Now that number is going to increase before the end of the day, and we will have all of our in-person voting numbers, including early in-person voting, reporting at or after 8 p.m. So polls close at 7 p.m., and we will be reporting from our office at 8 p.m. statewide numbers. That reporting will happen here at our election night reporting headquarters. So once again, just to repeat the numbers, and let me go back one bit. Today's ballot is only for Democrats and Republicans. This is a closed primary. If you are an independent voter and you had not switched to one of the 2 major parties, you are unfortunately not eligible to vote in this election. That includes about 1.4 million Arizona voters who are not Democrats or Republicans. There are over 1.4 million eligible Republicans who can cast their ballot in the state. Many have, and there are over 1.2 million eligible Democrats who have cast ballots or who are eligible to cast ballots. Again, this is a closed primary for the parties only, and we'll see how that works out. So I'm going to be taking questions in a moment, but just let me say a couple of things first. First and foremost, I want to extend my deepest gratitude and appreciation for the hundreds and thousands of American citizens and Arizonans who are out there helping, making sure that your fellow citizens' votes are being counted. Whether you are in one of the higher offices, county recorder or election director, or whether you're working in a warehouse or at a polling location or a vote center, the work you're doing is greatly appreciated. And it's going to be a long day for these folks. They have started at 6 o'clock in the morning. The polls won't close till 7 p.m. And then there's a lot of work they need to do after the polls close. So we're asking all of our voters to be patient with the process, enjoy the camaraderie and the citizenship that you will experience all across the Grand Canyon State. And so this election will again have its first results posted at or after 8 p.m. Most of the counties will, as we understand, be concluding their tabulation for the evening at or before midnight. There are a couple of counties out there who will be reporting later into the evening, maybe 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. This is a county by county decision. We will have our office monitoring the results as they come in. We will not be posting results until later on. And as everybody knows, we want to get it done right, and we want to get it done accurately, not necessarily as quickly as the media would like it, but that's the way it goes. And so I'm happy to answer any questions that folks might have regarding today's presidential preference election in Arizona. Are there any questions from the media?
Secretary,
yes.
Can you just clarify what results we're going to be seeing in that first drop at 8 o'clock? Are those the early?
Absolutely. So in the first drop of numbers at about 8 p.m. tonight, what you will see is early in-person voters who have whose votes have been uploaded into the tabulation systems. You will see the in-person tabulation that has already happened in some of our counties. Now, not all counties will have their election day results at that first count, but you will also see all of the early mail-in ballot tabulation results in. And that tends to be a good chunk. So we always encourage Arizona's voters to get their ballot in the mail in early so they can be part of that first big number at 8 p.m. We can see what direction these things will be going. There is one other technical issue, and thank you for asking the questions, that I wanted to indicate. As many of you know, there are several candidates on both the Republican ballot and the Democratic ballot who have suspended their campaigns. However, there's only one candidate, Governor Asa Hutchinson, who has formally withdrawn from the contest. Now, he is still on the ballot. His withdrawal was too late to be removed from the ballot. His results will be tabulated and reported. Unfortunately, if Governor Hutchinson does win, he will not be eligible to take that representation with him to the convention. So that's just a function of the fact that we were so far along in the process that his formal withdrawal from the race was not timely enough to remove him from the ballot or the contest officially. So thanks for reminding me. That was one of the points I wanted to make. Any other questions? Yes.
Activists are rallying behind Marianne Williamson in order to send a message about a ceasefire. Have there been any discussion about adding an uncommitted or write-in option to the ballots itself in Arizona?
Yeah, that's a very political question. At this time and in this day, we want to maintain our time, place, and manner communication. What some candidates do and what they're encouraging their folks to do is up to those campaigns to kind of battle back and forth about. As far as adding other options onto the ballot in this particular contest, that would take a rule change from the state legislature that would have to be signed by the governor. So it's obviously far too late for that to happen in 2024. Yes, ma'am.
Do you expect to see an increase in voters this time of year compared to other years in the past?
Well, right now we have seen some predictions that are shooting at about 45%, which is lower than prior presidential years. We are aware that many of our partners in the media have already essentially called both of the contests on these ballots. We're encouraging Arizonans to get their voices heard regardless of what is being reported and who is saying who the winners and losers are. And here's why. We want to make sure that Arizonans' voices are heard in their most full way possible. Right, so what that means is we'd like folks to vote, and it's not just a good habit to get into as a voter, but it's great practice for our election administrators across the state who really want to continue to encourage our voters to maintain that habit of voting and get out there and utilize those systems. Yes.
Do you have any estimation of when the final result of this primary is going to be released?
Well, the final result, insofar as our official results, are probably going to happen sometime next week. We have a curing period in Arizona for those late mail-in ballots that get dropped off today. And if there's a signature verification issue, let's say somebody broke their arm or they're suffering perhaps from Parkinson's or something like that, we've got to get those signatures cured to verify that that voter actually voted that ballot before we can tabulate, right, before we can open the envelope and tabulate the ballot. These things can take a little bit of time. So what we hope people will understand is Arizona has, for a very long time, been shortening the amount of time that it takes to report, even with the explosion of the number of voters that we've had to administer to. And so we're doing a lot better. Obviously, we're not doing as well as I think our friends in the media would like, but we should have our official results and our canvass as scheduled in statute.
Secretary,
Yes.
So what would you recommend the voters to do in order to avoid any mistakes when they're filling out their ballot, specifically knowing that there are some candidates that aren't running anymore? What would you recommend them to do?
Well, we always recommend voters to get informed. Talk to their favorite candidates' campaigns. They can call our office. They can check at arizona.vote to see some of this information. But again, this is a political question. And even though someone has suspended their campaign, that doesn't mean they're not off of the ballot itself. And so what might be one person's mistake might be another person's intent when it comes to this sort of a contest. Somebody might today just decide to vote for the one candidate I mentioned earlier just because. That's okay. It's your vote. You get to pick who you'd like, whether or not you think they're going to win. That's the American way. We can pick and we can agree and disagree, and that's okay.
Are you aware of any hiccups at any polling locations across the state, or smooth sailing so far today?
Well, I am happy to report that we don't have any major issues across the state. We do know that there are some weather concerns in some regions, but at this stage, we haven't heard any major reports of any problems. I'm going to look over to the election director. She is shaking her head. I think we, as of this moment, are smooth sailing, and that is due in complete part to those great election officials we have all over the state of Arizona. They're doing a great job for voters today. Yes?
Adrian, it was the 2016 PPE that set you on the path that landed you here eventually. How have elections changed since those very, very long lines that we saw in the 2016 PPE?
Well, there's a lot more people paying attention to elections now. I mean, when you look back, for Arizona anyway, if you kind of exclude the whole Broward County thing, we really took elections for granted as a society. We trusted the folks that did it, we trusted the results, and we all went along our merry way. Now, because of lies, because of conspiracy theories, a lot more people are paying a lot more attention. And what I think most people who get their information from reality-based sources understand, boy, those folks have been doing a really good job for a long time and continue to do a really good job. Election administration in Arizona, as we've noted from talking with folks around the country, have been at the forefront. Arizona was the first state to have online voter registration, which is a great convenience for voters. We're one of the first states to have a large portion of our voters do no excuse absentee voting, which is the early voting that so many people enjoy. I enjoy that process myself. In fact, I decided to wear my sticker today. And so I think what we're realizing now is that while elections are a human endeavor, and occasionally there are some missteps, the redundancies, the security checks, and the accountability, additionally, the newfound transparency is really bringing a lot more people to understand how good elections are in Arizona. Any other questions? I think we're in decent shape. Okay, we don't expect another update from this office unless there is an issue, unless there is something we'd like to discuss. So for those of you here, folks in the media, we'd like to make sure that you are on call. You all know our comm staff, JP and company, and if something comes up, we will certainly be addressing it later on. But as it stands right now, I'm very proud of the work that our elections officials across the entire state are doing, from Cayenta to Yuma, from the Wallapai Reservation down to Sierra Vista. We're enjoying a great election day, and I'm very glad that we are engaging our citizens and making sure that their constitutional rights are preserved. I thank you all, and I hope you have a great election day.
How do we check for those updates? Social media, news releases, or?
So our office will be putting updates out throughout the day, and if it becomes necessary for us to come out, if there is something that comes up, we will definitely be letting everybody know so that you can come back. We don't have any more scheduled media updates, but we want to keep our public informed, and you all are great partners in that. So just stand by. And again, the results that you will see at 8 p.m. are not final results. You will see continued results as the evening moves forward, and we will not have official results until the canvass sometime later this month. All right?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
I'm Alex.